Martin from Vitskär Süden here. We have a new album called Vessel coming out on May 17th, 2024 here. And I did a couple of these Music and Talk episodes back when our last record, The Faceless King, came out. But I did not do one about the sort of making of that record or thoughts on the tracks themselves. And a couple of people have asked about that. So I thought in anticipation of the new record coming out, it might be nice to take a look back at The Faceless King. So after the first record came out, we were jamming a bunch in our home studio in Los Angeles, and we had a series of improvisations that we just really got in a zone with what was coming out of there. And I always do these mumble tracks where we'll improv live, and I'll sing stuff. And sometimes there's words and sometimes it's just sounds. And it acts as sort of a guide, a melodic guide for me when we start working with these things as actual tracks. And a couple of things stuck out to me from a couple of the songs we had played. I just blurted out a line about taking someone's face away. And there was another track where I sang the line, "The Broken Crown," and started to think about a dark fantasy concept album. I'd been a fan of concept albums as a kid. I speak to that in one of these other episodes I recorded about some of the influential concept albums from my youth. And so I started to take a look at these songs we had been working on and kind of reordering them and thinking about a story journey to go along with them. Not literal and specific, but sort of a poetic tale that could be told through them. And a lot of these fantasy concept records we've heard over the years are all like this sort of classic hero's journey. And I thought it might be interesting to do something that's an anti-hero origin story. That was a little more interesting to me. And so The Faceless King was kind of born from that. There's an author I love named Laird Barron who I talk about a lot, and he's a big influence on me and also become a friend and fan of the band. And he has this character called Old Leech in his mythos from his work, who's kind of this evil force behind his sort of cosmic horror universe and pops up here and there. And I thought it might be interesting to have something like that in our own mythology with our band. And so The Faceless King is that. There was an evil force at play on our first record, and I thought it might be interesting to tie that into what we were developing with the second record. So the story began to form, and the first tracks, I'm going to play them together on the record, The Way Part 1 and The Way Part 2, sort of tell the beginning of that story, the rise and fall of this king who's hungry for power and who promised religious enlightenment to his people, but then used religion to control them, and the people revolt and depose him and drag him from his castle. So that's where we start. This was originally one complete improv track that we played and then began to develop, but we wanted a section in the middle of it to kind of represent the religious meditation that devolves into fervor and rebellion. So we stripped down this middle section, and it becomes this sort of spacey, meditative passage, ending with this sort of Bee Gees-esque falsetto. I love the Bee Gees, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. That I get to do this three-part harmony with myself that breaks us back through to a world on fire. And so that is The Way Part 1 and 2 from The Faceless King. really love the way part 2 and what everybody in the band's kind of bringing to the table in that track. It's one of our heavier kind of tracks, and we didn't release it as a single because we decided it really doesn't live without the way part 1. It's like you need both pieces to that puzzle to set it up and pay it off, and it was just too long of a stretch of music to release as a single, but it's one of my favorites from the record, and I really had fun with the bass line on that. It's kind of a rhythm guitar-y kind of bass line, and that was fun to do. So onward to the Archdiocese of Worms. As our story began to develop with this record, I think TJ, one of our guitar players, and I had talked about there being this shape-shifting lycanthropic cult that was involved in the resurrection of the king in our story. And doing some research on werewolves and things, I came upon this bit of information about this area in Germany called Worms, and there was a diocese of Worms, and that was the first, I think, recorded mention of the idea of a werewolf in actual human history. Not that werewolves actually exist, but they decided maybe they did. So I started playing around with that, and I liked Worms as a place and Worms as just an idea is such a visceral kind of word. And a creepy cult name. So that became the origin of the Archdiocese of Worms. In this particular part of the story, we find our deposed king at the side of the road, and the people have flayed him and removed his face to remove his personality and his power, I suppose, over them. And his body is recovered by this necromantic cult, the Archdiocese of Worms, and they take him away to work their magic on him. I should mention at this point that we wrote a D&D module that accompanies our album. It's kind of our lyrics insert, and you don't really have to know anything about D&D or understand it to hopefully appreciate it as a lyrics insert. We had David Paul Seymour, a great illustrator, do the illustrations for it, and we took it on as a legit, let's make a real playable module. We have a couple of D&D fans in the band, and thought it was a great way to expand our story and sort of add a little backstory and let it live and breathe more than it does in the lyrics on the record, because I'm a little obtuse with it on the record. So it kind of fills out the story. And it was super fun to do, though it was much harder than actually writing and recording the album. It took so much work to put it together, and I doubt we'll do that again. It would be fun. People loved it, and it would be fun to do another one. But it was just like, I love writing and recording music, and the module was just a ton of work. It was fun. I mean, TJ and I wrote it alongside of my brother Matt, who was great to have in play, and we had fun doing it, but like I said, it was just a lot of work. Anyway, so here we go into the Archdiocese of Worms.
Archdiocese of Worms, come to take you away, come to take you home, come to take you home.
I really love what TJ and Julian, our guitar players, did with the guitar interplay on the tail end of that track. It's like super chaotic but structured, and there's just a lot going on, but super fun, and I love the way it builds, and then kind of the bottom drops back out of it at the end and gets a little creepy. So onward to Voices from Beyond the Wall. This was our track that I felt we needed. We always put sort of a ballad somewhere in our in the mix on our records, and we needed a space to sort of sonically represent this spirit being adrift after this king's body is recovered by this cult, and he's sort of not living and not dead. He's sort of in that sort of in between worlds state as they're preparing to bring him back to the land of men. So it was really great to do this one, and Julian gave us a really beautiful guitar intro to it. I loved being able to write lyrics that are just these little, almost little paintings, like little visual moments from that world floating out there. And it was a blast to sing, and I hope it provides a nice sort of respite in the record for what is to come on the final 3 tracks, which are all pretty in your face. So that's really the story here. Voices from Beyond the Wall. Shepherds on the Roadside. This track is sort of our act 2 in our story, leading to the climax of the record. And I think we're really proud of how this track turned out. It's really straight, born from an improv. The drums and bass, I think, are all from the initial, just us pulling this track out of thin air and jamming it with each other in the moment. Plus the guide vocals, which sort of inform where I sing and what I sing on this track. I don't know that we fully understand our process. It's just kind of organic, and it happens, and we let it happen and travel through us. And that's certainly what happened with this song. And I just love Christopher Martin's drumming on this, and the way the song sort of rises and falls, capturing the mood of what's happening as this necromantic cult brings the Faceless King's remains out into their sort of secret meeting place and perform the rites necessary to bring him back, thinking they're going to use him as an instrument for their own purposes, but finding out that they've unleashed a power that they can't control. In terms of the title and the shepherds themselves, I just thought it would be great to have some far-off observers seeing these mystical rites, maybe the glow from them off in the distance, and wondering what the hell's happening and having a really bad feeling about what's to come. So that's what that is, and here you go. Shepherds on the Roadside. Bonedust and Dark. I think sort of in hindsight, after the record had been kind of laid out, we realized that we didn't have a moment that really represented this actual conjuration that occurs in Shepherd's story-wise. I mean, it's mentioned, but we don't have really a visceral representation of it there. So we had this great jam that was, again, just purely out of our improv that seemed pretty powerful to us, and sort of used it as is. This is sort of what we were doing, and I laid some vocal over the front end of it that TJ and I wrote that sort of informed that part of the story. And it was a cool discovery for us. We'd kind of glossed over it, and it was cool to be able to put it back in place on the record. We didn't have to do a lot to it. I think I maybe retracked just a little bit of the bass on it, not changing anything, but just performance-wise, and it was ready to go. And people seem to dig this track. It's nice to have a little psychedelic heavy blues jam there to do the work. And it's tough to imagine not having it there now that we discovered it and laid it in. It's such an integral part of the album to me. And, we like to build these sonic landscapes and try to be a little cinematic with our music and tell our story that way. And this one certainly does that, to me at least. So this is Bonedust and Dark.
Enveloped by nebulous shadow of sin, flame hath risen out of the serpentine tongue. Allow us to escape from bone dust and dark. Allow these rituals, these incantations, to have this time back from the deep.
The Broken Crown really tells the story of the return of the Faceless King in this new, more powerful form. And I think it was the one that really sparked the idea for me when we improvised it about doing this concept record. It felt like there was a story to be found here and expanded upon. So I think this was really the track that put us on the path to the Faceless King. And it's another one that just was really organically born out of an improvisation. I think we went back and did some tightening and some overdubs and things like that. But really, the skeleton of it was there, and it's always a great surprise when you find that from something that just emerged from putting the four of us together in a room, and we look at each other and one of us starts playing something, and then this happens. So really fortunate to be in a band with these three guys, and everybody just really brings it. And it's what pulls all this together and allows us to go down some of these crazy pathways that result in these tracks. It's funny, I was listening back to this a few weeks ago, and it's a really dense record. I mean, there's a lot going on sonically. It's kind of in your face at times, but our co-producer and mixer, Don Cento, does a great job of sort of giving each element a purpose and helping, weave it together into something meaningful, even when there's a lot of craziness going on at the same time. So we're grateful to have him. We've worked with him on the first two records, and he's back on our third album, Vessel, and hopefully what's to come from there. So leave it with this. This is The Broken Crown, and keep an eye and an ear out for our new record, Vessel, coming out in May, which is not a concept album per se, but more of a maybe a weird fiction collection that takes you in a little different journey in each track. There's lots of stories on the record. They're not one continuous story, but they're all stories tied to sort of a common theme. So anyway, we really hope you dig that and take that journey with us on Vessel. For now, thanks for listening, and I'll leave you with the closing track from The Faceless King. This is The Broken Crown.
Faceless King.